Human Resources, Finance, and Property Committee to order. We apologize for the delay. We were having some technical issues, and we got them resolved. So, first item is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No one has approached me or the clerk relative to public comment, so we will move on to the approval of the June 7th minutes. What are your wishes? Moved by Chair Gibbs. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Lemmer. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of approval will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. I'd just like to rearrange the agenda without an objection in taking up the items under 7A, talk about the state budget impacts on the county, before we talk about going into closed session. Item 6A3. It's hard to bring the public back, and then we'll pretty much be done with our agenda item. That'll be the last item on the agenda. Is there any objection? Okay. Then we'll jump to 6A1, policies, benefits for recruitment and retention of staff. At the last meeting, we had the discussion relative to where we were, and flexibility and is an important issue relative to attracting and retaining staff. We had discussions about the potential change of a work week, and I don't know, Lance or Molly, if you want to pick up where we left off.
Sure, I'll be very brief, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So there hasn't been much time since your last meeting, but as promised, we did have a department head meeting, our standing monthly meeting, and I kind of relayed in general terms the discussion that this committee has had. I think my characterization would be people are, again, overall very interested. If the committee's direction is still to start down that path and continue the discussion here at a policy level, we'll start to iron out some of the operational pieces, because most certainly there will be some operational pieces we need to iron out. One of those, again, is speaking with the courts and making sure we have all of the necessary pieces in place to ensure that individuals that require immediate access to the courts on that Friday afternoon time period are met. But again, overall, I would characterize the discussion as a positive one, recognizing, kind of as Molly laid out for you at your last meeting, the public interacts with us in fundamentally different ways than was referenced. The chair just before the meeting started made reference to, hey, the way we do meetings is different than it used to be. The same thing is true with staff. I'll give you one example. I had a conversation with our veteran service officer, and they have, for a number of reasons, a small office with hybrid work, and we used to have a budget within a line item within their budget for temporary staffing to make sure that we could go to a staffing agency when they would have to attend a training where they all have to get their certifications, which are required to be able to assist veterans in filing claims. The office would essentially be shut down except for a temporary staff person. Well, now we can serve people virtually. It looks and feels different, but they actually get better service from staff appearing virtually than they would from somebody from a staffing agency who, in all honesty, knows next to nothing about providing veteran benefits. So I think there's widespread recognition of the benefit to our staff, but also the significant benefit to the community of kind of expanding those hours of access for the community, while at the same time providing some increased flexibility for staff. So on our side, our next step is going to be really interfacing with individual departments and trying to understand what operational impacts or operational challenges might exist. But at this point, fairly confident, actually very confident, we'd be able to overcome those. But if there's other pieces of other things you want us to look at relative to policy issues or information to aid you in those policy determinations, happy to try to get you that information.
So what does the process look like relative to the change in the policy of our operational hours? Is it something, obviously, the county board will need to weigh in?
I would like to have that happen. I mean, that's been the process, and just in speaking with some of my colleagues, that other counties have utilized hours of operation. And it's kind of it's an odd, quite honestly, I'll be transparent. It's odd to take that to the county board, but I think this is a significant enough issue that I'd like to make sure that we have consensus amongst the board on that. Generally, operational issues are solely within my authority, but this determination moving in this direction, I would like to make sure that I understand where the board lies on that. Similarly, if we do end up having conversations, and we should at least have conversations certainly about holidays, that too I would like to make sure we have the full board engaged.
Are there any questions relative to advancing this? So my assumption based on your report is that you will continue to evaluate it, you'll engage the courts, you'll develop a plan for the various departments in this building as well as those external, because they will also be going to those hours, health, social services, veteran service, and others. So it would be a system-wide approach. We already go to 410s for park and highway, and we have different schedules for correctional officers and others with 12-hour shifts. But we'll continue to engage them, and
I think that's a great course of action. We can come back, and I don't know if we'll be able to get you a very robust operational plan, but we can give you kind of a high-level report at your next month's meeting, whether it's the first or second meeting.
any questions? Kurt?
So, Lance, just a question then. What would be your preference as far as a timeline as to when we get approval from the board to go continue down that road, if that's what you're seeking? I'd hate to have you do a whole bunch of work with various departments and working out challenges.
You want to make a? Yeah. My understanding, we have a technical issue we're going to look into briefly. So, Mr. Chair, if you'll indulge Corporation Counsel.
Thank you. In looking at the agenda and attempting to call in at the number that's on our agenda, it does not connect to this meeting. So if a member of the public was trying to join by telephone, they would not be able to connect. I think we have a workaround. Clerk Trueblood, I think, has a workaround that we can figure out. But if we could take a few minutes to connect to the correct WebEx, I think that would resolve our issues.
I don't think we have a choice, do we?
No, we
When
don't.
the attorney raises the issue, a technical issue, it generally means that we don't have a choice. So we will recess until the technical issue is resolved.
Thank you.
Didn't work. That's true.
Politely telling you what to do.
It wasn't a suggestion.
We're a little short staff at Hack right now, so please only have a bag of food voucher eventually. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes.